G'day, listeners. This episode is proudly brought to you by our sponsors, supshq.com.au. Use BWB15 at checkout to receive 15% off and direct shipping.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and all you who don't identify, to another episode of Bros with Brains. And we're cancelled. That's right. As you can tell, I'm back home and back to usual shit stirring self. How are we, good sir, Mr. Benjamin Button Mayfield Smith?
Mate, I'm good as always. I'm good as always. I'm here. I'm pumped, excited.
I'm back because I'm in a hoodie instead of my singlet.
yeah. There's no humid sweating. Just
I had a few people message last week like, "Oh, you've got some muscle." I'm like, thanks, bro. I do this thing called training.
Keep stroking my ego. So
like, well, no, it's not even that. It's like I do train. Like,
yeah,
I haven't posted it in a while. I know, but I train. Don't worry, people. Ben gets my nudes. It's okay.
Yeah, I see them. They're there. It's progressing.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say I haven't been this lean before. Like, I'm fucking lean, bro.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Like, fucking, even with holidaying and shit in between, I'm still getting lean, mate. This is what we do.
Yeah, but that's fair. He's not wrong. He's not lying.
No,
he's not lying. That's the main thing. He's not exactly truthful, but he's not lying.
Hopefully, this Friday is when Joe says, "Okay, time to grow for like this little spurt in between, or like 10 to 12 week, just a mini growth phase, which is an interesting concept, which we could probably dive into later. But to break up the dieting phase, I'm like, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, and we'll just triple times your dose, see what happens.
Well, I can see what he wants because he wants that, like that next level lean and to hold that.
Yeah,
like I get it, I understand, but it's like with Dubai and then Thailand coming up, it's like I can't. Oh, not that I can't. It wouldn't be worth the hassle of trying to dig that low.
Yeah.
With those two trips in place, especially, in the heat and stuff like that. Like, it might be a bit easier because it's warmer, but it's like, then is it going to be as enjoyable? Like, you know what I mean? You got to find that balance. Like, it's interesting. I can see where he's going. So it's going to be interesting the next cut.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah. But it makes sense. I guess you're going to be
you can see it. Like each time I've got lean, I've gone leaner.
Yeah.
And it's like the cusp of like that crispy, like lean, holding that lean. And it's just like, I can see it and I can see it. I'm like, I get it. I can see it. It's the first time I can be like, Joe, I understand where you're coming from.
I know what you mean, sir.
I see it. But at the same time, it's like, I'm going to Dubai for 10 days in like 40-degree heat. So
yeah, fuck cutting that.
Yeah. Like, come on, man.
Man, may as well fucking enjoy that food and enjoy a bit of time off, fill back up,
go
play some glycogen.
Yeah, play at some gyms around there. It should be fun.
Yeah. But yeah, no, just trotting along now. Everything's good. We've got caught up on some uni yesterday after a bit of a lax period with peak prep season. 6 hours of watching numbers and people talk about statistics and deviations and eta squares and powers and whatnot. My fucking head was going insane, so I realized I definitely have to break that shit up. But yeah, it's going good. Training's good. We're finally reaching towards like the heaviest I've been in this off season. So hitting about 104.5, which is good. Starting to see that go up, which is nice. Which will take us to probably, I don't know, I reckon I'll get close to about 107 by the time we stop the cut. Get pretty close to there, and then rapidly cut, tidy up, drop some body fat off. Push, have my little push phase. Yeah, and by little push phase, I mean we're gonna get fucking big.
Yeah, we'll have a little hold, stabilize, little cut, and then goal. I reckon 115 will be a good target.
Yeah, I think from like pulling down towards like 100, give or take, 17 comes off. I think that's a pretty easy number for me. Like, I know when I rapid cut, it falls off. And it's just basically like my thing has always been I prefer aggressive to just suck it up. Smack some appetite suppressants, modafinil, and fucking caffeine, and away we go. And you just see the fat strip off. I fucking hate it because it means I work in aggression. Like, I've got to be aggressive to grow, and I've got to be aggressive to fucking to cut up. So seeing that, and then that next level supplementation and training, and for the first time in the off season, we'll have a specificity now. We're actually, to think we've grown this much on a 4-day program.
Yeah.
and no real like isolation. It's just been fucking train hard and grow cunt. All right, cool. So
Like we were talking about off camera, who would have thought that being a bro sometimes helps?
yeah, legitimately, um, legitimately, just fucking like I was saying to, who I was talking about. So we had someone in the gym where we start getting so caught up with these nuances of like science and literature about like sets versus fucking intensity or volume versus intensity. No, you've got to train this far back from failure. And yeah, like if you're a newbie to a degree, you got to learn those scales and those RPEs. But like, man, once you get it honed in on it, you understand cadence and rep and range of motion. You get to just have some fucking fun training because you know to train hard. You know
Yeah.
what failure feels like, and you're like, okay, I got one back from that, and that's right.
Yeah.
That's my gauge. Even if you told me, hey, we're training 3 RAR this week, I'm going to tell you to fuck off. It's probably
Yeah.
just going to be a one because I
Exactly.
know
Yeah.
that I can get close to that one and then stop.
Yeah, well, the beauty of it is it's like that theoretical knowledge versus practical knowledge all the time. And it's like, yeah, it's awesome to have the theory as long as it's applicable. And especially
Mm-hmm.
like you can apply it to yourself, one, and two, apply it to clients if you're a coach. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, like cool, we can work with these, 2 RIR, 3 RIR numbers and, still gain and still be refreshed enough. And we don't need to deload as often and, blah, 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 blah. But basically training like a pansy. Or we could actually go to failure, understand where failure is,
Mm-hmm.
and then gauge it off that. Because a lot of the time when you train to failure, a lot of people really enjoy that training
Yeah.
because they get that sense of accomplishment and they feel like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, like I feel like I've genuinely worked out. And then we know that people are like, well, that doesn't mean you've had a good workout. Well, 9 times out of 10, it does.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
If my intensity metric and the progression on my paper is increasing, then you're wrong. If I'm not only increasing my numbers with a standardized progressive overload metric and also training close to failure, I'm pretty sure that makes your statement is almost redundant. So I'm combining the knowledge of theoretical application to my intensity. Like
exactly.
today, for instance, like was fucking squat press. I maxed out my rep range last week of 10 to 15. I think it was like 2 sets at 270, but like my range of motion nowadays is fucking stupid, provided I just keep my hips on the pad. As soon as I feel my hips come up, I reassess the technique, drop back the load, or just control that load for a few more weeks, and then I'll progress again. This week, up to 270. It's only a 10 kilo increase, but I went from 15 reps at 260, 2 sets, to 270. I think it was 13. Yeah, I think it was 13 and 10. I wrote it down. 13 and 10. And like that 10 was a fucking like it was a mid-rep pause for no point, like not intentional. I was
Yeah.
like, that fucker was holding. I'm like, nah, finish this off, knock it out.
It's like, yeah, and we're done.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, okay, that's a 0.5 RAR. I'm not getting another rep out of that, but I know I could probably half rep it. I'm not going to rack it. So, those levels of metric and progression where I'm like, now it's just fun. I'm having fun with this, tracking some big, like some decent numbers, lifts are progressing. I'm re-standardizing things. Like even I messaged you the other day, I felt like my T-bar row was just getting a bit too out of hand in terms of strength, but it just also wasn't quite contracting the way I wanted to for that strength. So instead of continuing to just jack up the numbers, I came off the deload and thought it's going to feel better rather than going straight back to that number where some of my other lists were. I'm going to pull the weight back a little bit, refocus on the control, get a better squeeze, and then progress it again. And this time, instead of being 90, it might go to 100, but it's going to be a better 100.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's the other thing that a lot of people forget about, being able to clean up technique to a certain point to elicit a response, but that's only going to get you so far. But before we always get sidetracked with training, because we can talk about it all day and all night, we need to let Ben's rant continue, because it's been a while since Ben, the big dog, has ranted on a topic. And we were going to talk about it last week, but we got caught up. The internet was shit. These things happen. Or was it the week before we were going to get caught up on it? I don't even remember. I feel like we got caught up.
When did Michael finish his show? I think it was last week. It was last week.
Yeah. So yeah, we were going to talk about it, but the internet was sort of being a dick. So at least we're back home and the internet should be good. It's Melbourne.
We'll see.
The sun's out, and then in 10 minutes it's going to start storming and pouring rain,
and
probably.
Then
so who knows?
5G goes to 3G, and then
and then the internet just fucks off.
Dial up.
So let's get the topic in first, and then continue from there. So on today's segment, Ben's rants.
On today's episode of Ben's Rants, we need to have like a segment song come in.
Gotta get Dave on it.
Yeah, Dave. As soon as you hear Ben's Rants, we need to have a segment song come through. That's your job, mate. All right, so the funny part is I had several people message me and be like, I was waiting for you to come in on this. I was like, I don't know who the fuck the person was. It only got sent to me, and that's where I saw it. And I'm like, look, 9 times out of 10 now, I'm learning to just not engage with stupid. But at a certain point, when I start seeing shit that conflicts with my internal compass of the things I love, the things I do for training, the way I coach people, and my field of study, I'm like, nah, that can't be left alone. Not only was it so far wrong, it was so ignorant that the points I sent back in rebuttal to the entire video
Yeah.
literally just went over this person's head. It was
Yeah.
so far
So
from,
you did comment on the video.
oh yeah, I went to town. Like I went to
Oh, okay.
town.
Because I haven't. Usually you send me the comments, but I haven't bothered to look.
Oh no, yeah, no. I went like I
Wait,
think things like
were you on the toilet at this stage?
yes.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Does his
Yeah.
best work on the toilet.
Yeah, does my best work on the toilet. I was aggressively trying to get the shit out, so I was aggressively
Why,
sending a message.
why are my legs numb? Been sitting here for an hour and a half. Brooklyn's like, are you alive in there, bro?
She's sitting there. I'm just sitting there like, hurry up and reply, bitch.
Yeah, bad.
No, so basically there was this, and it's like the usual videos of people that don't quite comprehend things they talk about, hit themselves with the Dunning-Kruger effect, and they end up trying to speak out their ass about something they have no idea on. Now, it got to a point where this video came up and it was like fucking 5 minutes. And this person had attempted to sound, I genuinely feel like they were, I don't know, trying to do something positive, as we always insinuate. However, there was this point of the video where it just got to a point where she sounded like she thought she'd done something, like, where she thought she'd made this like stand and this statement and everyone's like, yeah, you go, girl. But it was some of the dumbest shit that just disrespected bodybuilding and psychology and client-centric behavioral change coaching, goal orientation theory, motivational spectrums. Like she just did a wallop on pissing on all of it. And I was like, I can't let that go.
Which is interesting because we haven't seen that for a while. Like, remember there was that phase, was it last year or maybe the year before? Like a whole stack of people were doing those, like there was a few of them putting out those sort of videos and like comment and posts talking about it, and then all of a sudden they just stopped it. Now like is it making a comeback? Like, is this a thing?
I think it almost sparks me as if it's like a sort of templated response when someone moves into, because I saw like coach, mindset coach, and lifestyle coach something in the bio. And straight away I was like, oh, here we go.
You can't be a lifestyle coach if you're 20, like sub 28.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't.
Sub 30. Like you haven't lived.
Yeah. And even if you have, like, shut up. There was a point to like the video basically.
You can only coach up until the age that you've lived, or like 2 years before you've lived. Like there has to be a criteria.
Yeah, if you're gonna be a life
That's coach. What I was meant to do. I was meant to put a post up. I totally forgot. Sorry, sidetrack. If anyone's listening, there's a message. Do you think there should be like an entry age to online coaching? Like, should you be a certain age to be a genuine online coach? So obviously you can't be qualified to be an online coach, right? It's online, and obviously this doesn't qualify you either because it's again online. But I wonder, should there be like a minimum age that you need to be, or minimum like years experience, which would make more sense probably, but probably let's have both minimum age and minimum years experience to be an online coach. Yeah, I think that'd be like, you know what I mean?
There's a bit of a criteria to like, yeah, but then we get the realm of who regulates that. That's a whole thing that, certain companies over here will try and take advantage of. But like, yeah, to spin back to this post, it was the biggest thing that irks me, right? Is it always comes back to someone who's never done the thing to begin with, who has no concept of it, no idea about it, no knowledge of it. You can just be a general like PT coach. I don't care. You can be a strength coach, whatever you want to do. But in order to try and, it's almost like to try and make a name for yourself. That's why I was thinking it's almost like a templated, or like you can almost map out where the life coach goes from the strength coach period. Like you can see the progression from strength coach or PT to lifestyle coach and life coach and motivational mentor, whatever you want to call yourself, because it has this standardized approach to it where I'm going to disrespect anything to do with anyone wanting to improve their physique. And then obviously not understand how actual goal setting works and actual like motivational spectrum theories work, understand goal orientation theory. And basically this person had conflated that bodybuilding is absolutely going to result in eating disorders and body image issues and self-esteem issues and all this sort of stuff. And there is just no evidence to support that is an absolute or that's going to happen.
Yes,
It
it is
doesn't
because
exist.
it's her experience that's the
Yeah.
actual evidence of it.
And but that's the thing. She doesn't have that because she's
Yeah, I
never done
know.
it. I went back and like, okay, maybe I can talk to her
Yeah,
experience.
maybe she's had a
Maybe
bad
she's had
experience.
some. And I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
I'll pay that
yeah.
if that's the case. I'll say maybe she's speaking from her experience, so I won't attack her directly. I'll go back through. I went through Instagram, nothing.
Nothing,
Never
nothing.
been remotely close to that lean in her life, from what I can see, to then have this blunt, direct opinion about what bodybuilding is and
Mm.
is not, and the neurotic negatives of it, and to convey it in ways of absolutes about principles and points she didn't even remotely comprehend. I
Yeah.
started, not only did I just basically map out and talk about how she misunderstands goal orientation, like she's focused on outcome derivatives and like, people get these body image issues because physique sports are judged on how you look, and that's just a negative thing. I was like, you aren't grasping that we have different forms of goals. We have performance, we have process, we have outcome. You're taking away the benefits of process and performance goals because you're only looking at the outcome of being on stage and then going, oh, well, everyone gets negatively neurotic and body image issues. Firstly, false equivalence, false statement. Not every single person that gets on a bodybuilding stage walks away with a body image issue. People who are high prone to neuroticism and high neurotic traits potentially are at risk to have more emotional responses to negative consequences like losing. So they may develop that. The other thing that I ripped into is the fact that bodybuilding is like no other sport. So you can walk, and I say sport, I've had people challenge that, whatever, hobby, interest, I don't give a fuck, whatever you want to call it, activity. I've played pretty decent levels of other sports. Bodybuilding is nothing else like it. You can walk away from game day on rugby league and go back to your life. You aren't judged on how you appear. You aren't judged on like your lifestyle or your life after rugby league. Obviously, the more you dedicate to it, the better you might do. But you can just be one of those guys who rocks up training Tuesday, Thursday, plays Sunday, and you're good to go. The rest of your life doesn't necessarily impede that performance. Bodybuilding, the talent you have is literally how you look. It's the present, like your skill is your appearance. It's presenting in a competitive nature the work you've done on your body. Other sports don't have that. So if you're not able to separate the artist from the art, you're not able to separate the critique of your work from you as a person, then yes, by all means, don't compete. But this person has inflated and conflated and basically just run away with the idea that everything about bodybuilding is negative and everything about physique development is negative because being attached to your appearance is a negative. I was like, firstly, fucking wrong. If you have people that are excited about self-development through physique development or through physique progression, i.e., I know that I recognize I've got shitty rear delts. I'm going to spend my time in this next block growing rear delts.
Yeah. It's like the only time that becomes a problem is when the person actually has some form of a genuine mental health issue.
Yes.
That's probably not related necessarily to the body per se. It's something that stems a little bit deeper, and that's an expression of that mental health issue.
Yes.
Like that's a different story. We're not talking about those people. Yeah, they don't count.
Nope. But you can't speak on absolute.
Exactly.
Is bodybuilding.
Exactly right.
Because like if I'm like when I played rugby league, if I want to work on my spiral, I would be out on the field neurotically obsessing over how I held my hands on the ball to throw that pass.
Exactly
That's me developing that skill. Now in bodybuilding, that's reflected through me regrowing my rear delts. I need to develop that skill, which is a connection to my rear delts, so that I can grow them so they get better.
Yeah, just to piss you off, it's like, do you think that Jonathan Thurston didn't kick his 117 or 119 field goals in a row through what 2 seasons or 3 seasons without practice?
Yeah,
like in games, like he's got the record.
Yeah,
I just wanted to throw that in because I know how much you hate Jonathan Thurston.
I don't hate Jonathan Thurston. I respect him. He's just not Andrew Johns. That's whatever.
Exactly, he's better. But anyway, continue.
De facto, Andrew's his boss. The point being, though, is even like when we look at those sports or we look at those other activities, interests, hobbies, fucking activities, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
The repetition and neurotic obsession with development is on a skill that isn't how they look. But if you're able to do bodybuilding properly, you're able to basically, it is a physical manifestation of the psychological representation of the way you think, the way you view yourself, the way you train, the way you live. So everything about it is on display. That isn't about you personally. Now, especially when you get on stage, if you tick the boxes, if every session that you rock up to the gym, your performance is an 8 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, and you're just constantly obsessing assessing how you can be better. If your process goals every single day are, wake up at this time, do my cardio, get my meals in, make sure I have adequate protein, make sure I take my drugs and supplementation, make sure I'm getting my 8 hours sleep, I'm still doing my job and working and not ruining that. Those processes every day and the performances in the gym every day, they lead to an inevitable outcome of you getting better over time. If you are only fixated on the outcome, then yes, by all means, you have a shit experience. But bodybuilding is the only thing I know where it is the most representative of delayed gratification through self-development and consistent work. You will not find anywhere else, maybe powerlifting or something along that nature where you continually have to keep chipping away until you do your next meet.
Well, yeah, it's like you can never be too strong, right?
Exactly. And it's like you can't ever, basically the way I put it to her is like, and she, again, it went way over her head. The most powerful, rewarding aspect of bodybuilding is we will continue to chase a perfect physique that you will never have.
Yeah, knowing that it will
knowing
never
that
be
you will
perfect.
never have it.
That's the key. That's the key. Like you're chasing perfection, knowing perfection is unattainable. Write that down on a bumper sticker, people.
100,000%. And it's like, this is where, just to really start to, because I was just having fun with it at this point. I just started throwing in some philosophy and stuff as well. I was like, you aren't grasping the moral lesson of Sisyphus and rolling his ball up the hill. And she's like, what? And I was like,
yeah, exactly. My question to you is just, do you genuinely think she's seen this post somewhere else and just agreed with it and then decided to make it her own for content? Like, is that what, you know what I mean? Like, because if she's never gone through the prep, right? Or even a diet, we'll call it. Like, let's take prep out of it. Let's go that, doing a semi-harsh diet phase, maybe. Like, has she just seen this post from someone else? Yeah, agreed with it, being like, that makes sense. I can see that. I can understand that. I can't relate to it, but I can understand it. And being like, hey, I need to post content because I'm an Instagram coach or social media coach, whatever, and I need to put up some content. I'm going to use that as my inspiration. Blah blah blah. Write up a little spiel about it or talk about it. I can't remember what she did. And then
it was basically like similar to the real videos that I do where I talk to the camera, and she's just sitting there sort of like on a ramble. However, the ramble led to nothing. It was the most inconclusive, uneducated point on any of the topics she started talking about. And that's why I was just like, as you said, she's probably seen it from somewhere else. And I'm like, look, if she actually had a genuine thought of her own about it, I'd have continued to challenge it. And like, cool, maybe you can learn something here. I even linked theories to go research further and stuff to look at further, because I was like, maybe this person just doesn't know. She's conflated that outcomes are the only form of goal in bodybuilding, that it's purely neurotic, it's X, Y, Z. I'm like, okay, so maybe if I drop some things here that she may be, inclined to look further and ask some proper questions. If she's trying to be a lifestyle coach or a life coach or a mentor, these are all things that I've studied to help other people understand. So maybe she'll do that. And it came like, of the points she replied to, didn't even remotely consider it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have fun with this at this point now. Like, anyone, like the amount of bodybuilders and especially female bodybuilders that I saw going through liking my post, my comments, I was just like, there it is. Like, the ones who know and the ones who do it properly are never the ones to walk away saying that this thing is dangerous and toxic and neurotic and obsessive and blah, 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 blah. The ones that always do it for the wrong reasons and don't align with the values of them as a person and the goals that they truly set, that walk away with a negative taste of bodybuilding. Yeah.
And as much as I hate to use anecdote, it's literally the reason why I haven't prepped. And it's like, I keep telling you and everyone else, like, why don't you prep? I'm like, because it's not 100% yet. I'm not 100% committed to the prep. Like, I'm not. Like, I have so much shit that I will use as an excuse. And I'm aware of that. Like, if I have an option to go fucking train or probably get a great morning and someone's like, let's go play golf. Look, it's going to be a very tough battle. It's, like, favoring training at the moment. We're going through a pretty good fucking phase right now.
There's a spectrum. It's a tilt.
Yeah. It's like a 70-30, like, I'm 70 training, 30 sort of other extracurricular activities, i.e. golf. like, like
to put in perspective, even the way you referred to that, when I knew how intense starting business and prep was going to be last year, I deferred uni for the whole year.
Yeah, exactly.
You only get 2.5 years to defer uni. Like in total across your degree, they only give you 2.5 years you're allowed to defer in total. I gave up 2 semesters because I was like, there is no point trying to go to uni and maintain this prep. It won't work.
Exactly. Yeah,
so
you can't have everything.
Yes, exactly. So I was like, all in on this. This is the thing I have to focus on. Because I knew the only way for me, and again, it aligned with my values as a person and a coach and a business. The only way people are going to start to really see what I know and back what I do, and that I'm not just someone who talks about it on Instagram, my business needs to see me be in it. And it needs to see me that I actually live and breathe this shit and I do it. And lo and behold, I walked away with a medal. Good shit. 4th place at nationals, no big deal. It's not. That embodied, like, there was no other choice there. Everything about it had to lead to me finishing and me enjoying and loving it and like sharing it. I gave as much content as I could. I shared as many stories as I could.
Exactly right.
We paid for the cunt to record it and fucking put it out so that you could watch it. Like, there was nothing left for me to give, and I fucking loved it. It was
literally, there was no stone unturned, but it was 100% commitment from day one.
Yeah.
And it was for the right reason.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Like, something like that has to be for the right reason. Because like you said, if it's not, you're not going to last, and you're going to potentially exacerbate issues. If you've already got them, they're going to probably get worse. If you haven't got them, you're going to put yourself in a position to potentially acquire them.
And like,
anyway,
you need to comprehend.
There has to be like a test that we need. Matter needs to create a psychological test, like
honestly,
that form. Fill this in, and this is the criteria you need to pass to do a bodybuilding show. Like,
honestly, it was one of the first projects I was like, this needs to exist.
Yeah, like
start working on how I can assess, like, a prerequisite form for the emotional stability, because things like the K10 and stuff just aren't deep enough to answer those questions.
Get it like ticked off by like a psychologist or something. Like, it's an official document. Like,
legit, this needs to be a medical predisposed criteria that you have to tick off.
You start prep. Give it to like GPs and shit. It's like any fucking anyone that looks like they lift. Give them one of these forms,
bro. Fill that in.
Just give them one of these.
Because there's just nothing worse to me than people that talk on things they have no idea about and talk with absolute certainty and like talk with, this confidence about it. But the part that shits me is, if you're going to put it on social media and you're not prepared to have a rebuttal or a position disagree with you, don't put it out. That's all I'm going to say. Don't put it out. Anything I've shared, anything I put out, I get excited. I'm like, fuck, I hope someone disagrees with this. Like, A, it's a chance for me to get better, but B, it's also a chance to just stir the pot and just have like, and not in a negative way. Like, I'll never go out and attack anyone, but if you disagree with me or you come back on something, fantastic. We have a chance to talk. But if you're going to be disrespecting of something that is so actually beneficial, like you're hating on one of the biggest influences on a lot of people's lives with absolutely no interest in it and no experience.
It's not seeing the other side. And that's where, like, we know with anything, like, as we get older and we mature, we try, I think most of us anyway, we try to like understand the other side, right? And it's funny because for me, it's like my biggest, I think, turning point with that was literally like fucking the Joker. Watching, which one? Where is he? Over here. Like, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. It's like, hold on, that's a movie for those who haven't seen it. Spoiler alert! But if you have seen it, you'll understand. Where you watch the movie and you know the Joker, you know that he's a bad guy, air quotes for those listening. But by the end of the movie, you sympathize with him, you empathize with him. You're like, I get it. And you sit there and you're like, hold on, this dude's just gone and killed people. But you're like, I get it. Because you can see
it's not right, but it's not wrong.
Because you can see it from his side. You're seeing both sides and able to make an informed decision or a more informed or educated decision because you have more information about the topic. Whereas obviously this person's only got whatever they've seen or, if they have experienced any sort of thing, which we don't know.
I'm going to say that maybe they had a girlfriend or something who did it and had a bad experience. So it's not only is it not anecdote, it's secondhand evidence.
It's Chinese whispered evidence. Like, it's fucked.
And I'm going to say, like, again, this is like, because I'm not going to share the name or anything, so I'm not attacking this person personally, but what it comes across as a lot of time is people that are too insecure about committing to a goal or committing to that change that they want, and the insecurity projects itself. And instead of just saying, I'm not good enough to be a bodybuilder, or, I'm not good enough to do that thing, I'm going to attack it so that people support me not doing it and also disrespect that thing as well. And it basically brings them down to lift them up. And that to me is like one of the worst forms of argument and positions to hold. Instead of just fluently admitting, I do not want to do this, or, I'm not good enough or cut out to do this, but that's okay for other people to do it. You have to rip on it. and bring it down and fucking chastise it for something that you just can't comprehend.
comprehend, and that's it. It's just, but that's what I think. Also, the age of the person will probably suggest,
Yeah.
where that point of view comes from. Because it'd be interesting to see this person in, let's say, 3 years' time, can't revisit that topic and be like,
Yeah.
okay, well, let's see what you've learned. And that's why I guess being a bit older, a bit in the industry, we've all been
Mm-hmm.
that naive, or we've all been that one dimensional. We've all been there. Like,
Yeah.
whether it's been on social media or, before social media, because we're old and, we did this like in person to people
Mm-hmm.
or on, Facebook forums, because those were the days. Just telling everyone they're wrong. Bodybuilding.com, bruh, those were good days. But, it's like, it'd be interesting to see the development of that person
Yeah.
and seeing that shift in mindset, growing, because it's like, well, like I say, like I've been there. I know I have. I'm probably still there with a lot of things that I just don't
Mm-hmm.
realize until someone says, "Dude, what the fuck?" I'm like, "Oh, I didn't think about that."
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why like one of the big things I try to push people is to grow like a growth mindset, right? But here's the part that always blows other people's minds. And the creator of, or the founder of the premise of growth and fixed mindsets, Carol Dweck, she came back and reassessed her data in 2016, I think it was, when she positioned it. Because this was like growth mindset and fixed mindsets basically grew out of the 1980s, and it was termed, oh fuck, I can't. It was no, I'm gonna have to revisit it. But it had these other original terms that she referred to it as, and it eventually developed into growth and fixed mindsets. And she came back, and because the way people was interpreting it and using it wrong was that you are either entirely a growth mindset about everything, or you're a fixed growth mindset.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
fixed
okay,
mindset. And this,
yeah.
like, if you're a fixed mindset, it's on everything, and that's just what you believe. What she came back and said was, what actually happens is most people end up as a growth mindset about the things they know, or like they have certain areas of their growth mindset of, but challenge them on something else, and you'll find they have a fixed position. And it's because it almost exists on a spectrum. You will never fully, truly be a growth mindset about everything. There are just some things that you push back on and be like, oh, I thought I've grown since then. And you might hear a statement about a political position, or you might hear it about like, I don't know, let's say Beasley releases a statement of nutrition science. He's like, yeah, but that's dumb. Is it that I am wrong? Or sorry, is it that that person's wrong? Or am I just not willing to change my belief, which leads to a fixed mindset? So, this person potentially is just going to have a fixed mindset about some things. And that is, it might be physique appearance, it might be physique development, it might be how she coaches, given that she's moved towards a lifestyle and away from strength coaching. So for her narrative, it fits the bill for her to not be accepting of the potential other side of that story, right? So, she can appeal to more women, if you will, that changing your physique and wanting to compete about it is wrong and you shouldn't do it, and stay beautiful just the way you are, because that aligns with her beliefs and is where she's fixed her perspective. Whereas us, you kind of look at it, eventually over time, you just start to realize, actually, I should probably be pretty open to these things and me being wrong. And have the chance to
Well,
learn.
the beauty of being wrong is learning something new, right?
Right? Like literally how I described the other day. Well, I was watching Samson's video
Yeah,
training with Kuba.
yeah.
Now, this guy is such a bro at heart. Like, Samson just wants to train hard, get jacked. He's training with the likes of Fuad and Benny Chow and, Guy and Nick Walker and all sort of jazz. Goes to Kuba, one of the most technical guys you'll train with. And you're watching him just absorb this knowledge and get excited. He's like, he's 38, the top of the game. He's probably a now top 4 contender for the Olympia at his age. Can't be on any higher spectrum, basically, when it comes to physique development. And he's gone to a guy who's beneath him in professional status, like lower down the ranks, and gone, teach me more.
Yeah.
Like that, if anyone had the right to not want to know more, it'd be him. Yet he's going there and being like, oh, I can get better from this guy.
Yeah, it's like, I need to get better. This guy's going to help me get there.
Legitimately. Like, how do you want to spend the rest of your life with fixed perspectives on things and not improve? How do you want to think what you think at 20 is the same thing to think at 40?
Well,
That to me would just blow my fucking mind.
And that's why I say, even this person, like, that's obviously created this post, like 3 years, just 3 years. It'd be interesting. Like that's all it would take, I reckon, because we know that, how much you change if you think back to like when you were 18 to 21 to 25, and then, 25 plus. Like, you can go 20, like, even for me, I can go 25, 28.
I was still an opinionated cunt at
Yeah.
18.
I can go 25, 28, and 31. They're all fucking different ages.
Yeah.
I'm 35 this year. Like, fuck, man. Like, everything's changed, bro. Like, serious? So it'd be interesting to see, that is for sure.
Yeah.
But let's roll into questions.
Yeah, we got a few. We got a few.
You want to kick off?
Yeah, kick it off. Let's have a look.
Go on then.
All right, let's have a geese. Would you rather speak in rhymes forever or speak in riddles?
Ooh, riddles.
Yeah, like, but imagine trying to rush to someone that there's an emergency and you've got to say it in a fucking riddle. Like,
that seems like a them problem, not a me
yeah.
problem. Well, it depends though, unless I'm the one in trouble.
Yeah, I'm having a heart attack. What is not working and is about to stop pumping?
But I feel like if you're having a heart attack, you wouldn't necessarily need to say it. Like you just like grab your left side.
Yeah, face.
Like like I feel like that's gonna be enough.
Yeah. But imagine trying to speak to like RACQ in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, your car's broken down, you're trying to describe that your car's broken down in a riddle. Where are you near? Well, I've been to two wrong country.
What crosses?
Oh fuck. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm going riddles. I like me a good riddle.
I'd prefer rhymes because if I just spit it up, then I become a rapper.
Yeah. What else you
got? The most common trait you've seen or see in successful high performance athletes.
Man.
Oh, I like it.
Honestly, one thing I've come across, I guess, fortunately being, I guess, what you'd consider an elite athlete at one point. I guess I was a professional tennis player. So, like, it is a do or die attitude. It is literally, you live it, you breathe it. Like, it consumes you. And I think that, again, likening it to the prep that we were talking about, and I think until I have that for a prep or anything, I guess, going forward, like I won't commit to it, if that makes sense. Like I'd have to be obsessive about it because I won't give it everything, and it won't be for the right reason. Like the right reason, I think, for me personally, anyway, will turn it into my obsession.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like it'll become like it'll consume me, not necessarily in a negative sense, but that's just how I am because that's how I've always been. Like people don't, I guess, really know, but it's like when I used to play like AFL footy, I used to play in the VFL. So that was like the one grade below AFL here in Vic. Like in our preseasons, like I outran the beep test twice.
Nice.
Yeah. And I'm talking about the old beep test that went to 16 and then the new beep test that went to 22.
Yeah.
So I am like by trade a runner. Like I'm a track and field athlete. Like I'm Aboriginal. Like what do you expect? Like, I think
we did long distance before long distance was a sport.
People forget. Like I've still got fucking skinnier ankles than like a 10-year-old girl. Like that's fine. Like my wrists are like smaller than everyone on the planet, but I'm built to run. Yeah. So it's like, but hold on. It's like by the end of it, it's like I beat everyone in both beep tests, and even the coach was like, "Okay, you're done." I'm like, "Nah." I'm not done. I'm not done. My legs are still going. I'm still going until my legs give out. I'm going to keep going. And if it, at the second beep test when it was 22, if I kept going, I would have kept going. But I just clocked it. I was just like, okay, and done. I'm like, okay, cool. And I just collapsed. But that's what every elite athlete has.
Yeah.
It is a do or die attitude.
Yeah. And to kind of like expand it further, like you get this point where, and I've talked about it so many times, I put out contacts on it and shit like that, but people want to talk about, balance, and you can't, like, you've got to go out and have fun, and you got to understand when we see things like when I talk about that I'm willing to do this for another 20 years, I want to compete, I will do a Masters Olympia, like it's what I want to do. We're talking on a level of fun to us that you will never comprehend. Like you, perhaps as an individual, will see fun as like a weekend out or going out with the girlfriends, or you're going out with the guys and getting on the pissing on the footy. It's fun to me. It's fun to an athlete to see a skill develop, to see struggle, to get better at something, to suck, to train harder, to throw up. Like that stuff becomes fun. It just becomes psychotically fun, and you just enjoy it. And I think a lot of people will sort of see that as like, you got to have balance. You can't do everything at the extreme. You're like, it's extreme from your perspective. And what you'll find in most highly successful people and high performance athletes is that it's not extreme to them. It's just their life. It's normality. Their level of normal is so much more extreme than yours, but to them, it's just every day. It's just what I wake up to do. Like you got to think about, like, you look at a professional NFL player. They've done, what do they call it? Little league? They've done little league from 5 years old through to being 35, 40, being a linebacker, a quarterback, a wide receiver, whatever they've done. They've done that for however long, over 25, 30 years. That has to be your fun and your like place of excitement and enjoyment. Otherwise, you're just not going to do it. Like, why would you do something for 30 years you hated? And I think, like, unfortunately, a lot of people see, like, training or athletics or sport or fucking whatever as a chore. But the elite athlete looks at that and goes, every aspect of this is fun. I'm all in on every aspect of it. And then the balance side, just, there is no such thing as balance in the sense that people talk about, like, we've seen certain lifestyle and mindset coaches and behavior change coaches talk about like the 8 pillars of, or this many pillars of life balance. You got to have these in check to have a healthy. No, you fucking don't. The second you want something extreme, you have to be willing to give up most of it. And if you're not willing to, or you don't enjoy wanting to, then just don't do it, because you're not going to get it. Like, it's just not going to be a thing. If you're trying to balance relationships and social life and work life and, family holidays and going out and seeing your boys, and you're trying to balance all those things, you just don't have the same drive as a person who wants to go all in on 2 things. It's just not the same. You're not the same, and that's totally okay, but it's just not. The other side, I guess, to wrap that question up, is there's an actual personality trait. You find I think 10% of, no, sorry, 10%? 1 in 10 of every CEO in the Fortune 500 has a high degree of psychopathy. They literally do not care about, other people's misfortune or failures or shortcomings. They don't empathize with you. They don't have a care about whether or not you lost, but they won. What they care about is that they won. So that level of disregard and psychotic drive is a benefit when you're in a position where you're running a Fortune 500 company, where you're trying to be like, it's why every time you hear about it, like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Andrew Johns, Jonathan Thurston, Tiger Woods, these guys are psychotic in the way they want to beat you. It's not just that they want to win, they want to beat you about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's literally, it's my favorite reference to it is watching John Jones in the UFC. People don't understand. Like, to me, Anderson Silva is always going to be the GOAT. Like, that's just, it's a personal opinion. Anyone can argue all they like, but John Jones is probably going to be, like, statistically, pound for pound, the best ever. Now, the difference between him and like an Anderson Silva, John Jones wants to hurt. Like, he wants you to hurt. He'll step on your foot, kick your shin, knee your thigh, like anything that he can do to inflict pain. But that's what makes him so fucking good. That's why he doesn't lose. That's why, like, you look at his stats. I think he's got like I think he's got the most finishes in, or like in the current era or something. He's got some crazy stat. So it's like, dude, like these guys. Guys, when I say guys, I mean guys and girls. These people with this mentality, they all have that one thing in common. And it's like to die doing what they do, like kill or be killed.
And then, like, on top of that, where people misconstrued neuroticism and conscientiousness, is it's not neurotic to be number obsessed. If you are someone who's quite task orientated, detail orientated, you're numbers driven, you're performance driven, that is a conscientious trait. That is part of being highly conscientious as a personality trait. People don't understand that. But a lot of these high successful types, these people that just that they succeed, they tick boxes, they know the numbers to get, the things they're going to work on. That's a conscientious personality trait. And they are quite high in it. When you get those people like, Kobe set that boundary, that rule is like, I'm not leaving the gym until I make 500 free throws every game. Like, if I lost a shot, I'm making 500 free throws every single gym session before I leave. I'm doing, 20 suicides before everyone else gets there to do their suicides. I'm getting fucking whatever it is. Andrew Johns would always say, like, he would go out the night before, but he would go, like, as long as he went out and still made training and trained the best, that was his trade-off. He's like, I will be at every training session doing the utmost. And if I chose to stay out later or did my thing and went out the night before, it's irrelevant as long as I rock up and I'm the best trainer there. Like, because he would, stupidly have that balance of the social life that he'd go do. But on the day, on paper, in the training sessions, he would reportedly be the best trainer there, regardless of the night before, because that was his deal.
Yeah.
This is the task. I am ticking it. And I think a lot of people don't understand that you can develop conscientiousness, but at the same time, like these people just have a fucking natural high propensity for conscientious trait. They just are obsessed with the goal, the task, the industriousness of it, getting it done, how to get better at it. That doesn't have to be neuroticism. It's not negative. It's just as we've got extroversion, agreeableness, openness, there is also neuroticism and there is conscientiousness. They are the big 5 traits.
Yeah.
Conscientiousness is seen in every realm of success of people.
Yeah, and the other thing I think a lot of people probably discount on it with these, like, this particular mindset is they don't like to lose. Like,
oh yeah,
that's probably like that's a big thing. Like they don't only just train hard and put the work in, they hate losing. They despise it. It makes them so angry. And it's like the story of Jordan he's playing golf on his golf course with, I can't remember who it was. He plays a round of 18. He loses to the guy. He gets hustled basically, and he's like, okay, let's go around again for another 18. And the guy's like, well, don't you have a game in like tonight, like 2 hours, 3 hours? He's like, yeah, we'll go around again. Don't worry. So goes around again. He's had a couple of beers, and he goes. So the guy calls his bookie and goes, okay, put all money, like, or a whole stack of money on Cleveland. That's who the Bulls were playing. And Jordan goes, nah, it's a poor bet. He goes, we're going to beat them by 20 and I'm going to score 40. And that's the game he came out and scored like 55 and they beat him by like 26 or 28 or something like that. And the guy's like, it's just a different beast because he doesn't like to lose.
Yeah.
Because he has that attitude of do or die. It's like,
yeah,
this is it. Like, I will die on the court.
Yep. And that's like Peterson talked about. He puts it in a premise of basically it's not only one thing to have a drive to want to win and achieve your goal, it's also a drive to have a desire to not fail. Like there's two driving factors towards most of these high elite goals or successful types, in that not only is their goal about winning, it's also the fear of or the drive away from losing. Like you can't comprehend it until you know how fucking frustrating it is to lose and hate losing, especially if it's out of your control or something you can't do about it, but especially if it's something you can do about it. But so not only are you rocking up to game day with the desire to just beat everyone and win, you also have a desire there, like a burning fucking frustration not to lose. And you just can't comprehend it until you've been in an environment where that's a thing and you see it or you embody it or you are it. And just like, it's just something to understand. Like you just got to comprehend it. You can't, but you got to try. Exactly. And, if you don't have those things, that's the part to me where it gets frustrating. You can't disrespect these people and be like, oh, they're toxic and obsessive and dangerous and they're not good role models. They don't give a fuck. No. They're in a different realm of life to you that you can't understand, that everything about them is towards winning and avoiding failure.
Yeah, exactly right.
And last question I got. If you are heading overseas to compete outside of Australia, what would you recommend? Well, we kind of already talked about it, I guess, is like, if you're going to do it,
off camera.
Yeah. Was it on camera or off camera? Off camera.
Off camera.
Basically, go pick. This is something that I plan to do in the next few years. I want to start doing is looking at international shows once I'm in a better position to be competitive. Obviously, I want to put my best foot forward to win and make sure that I'm the best chance to do so, but also make the most of bodybuilding as a competitive career and use it to travel and have some fun and that sort of shit. Look at a location where there might be 2 or 3 shows you can do in one place or in a traveling distance of place like America, Europe. Plan ahead, know your locations, know your places you're going to. Obviously, set yourself up that the first few weeks that you're there are going to be about the shows. And then, you've got a back-end reward so that you're not seeking that extra food or like, oh, I'm in America and Five Guys is here, but I'm never going to have it. If you plan some extra days while you're there, you're going to get it. So I think if you map out, a few good shows you want to do, the locations you're going to be in to make sure that you're close to your gyms, close to grocery stores, similar food choices, you have access to your
easy as possible for yourself.
Make it as easy as possible. And then after that, go have your fun. Get the shows out of the way, regardless of placing. Your competitive cap comes off, and now you're just in America or Europe to travel for a few days, have some fun, eat some food, go home. You do that, and I think you're in a pretty good spot to do so. Just, as simple as you can make it for yourself. Have your meals prepared for the flight. They usually let you bring your food on to have your meals.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, short of that, you can always time it with your meals and stuff like that as a worst case scenario. But yeah, usually they're pretty straightforward. Very rare that they don't let you do that sort of stuff because it's pretty basic shit and
Mhm.
you just use their utensils.
Yeah.
But the goal, yeah, is to make life easy for yourself. Like,
Yeah.
don't put yourself in compromising situations. You're there for a task or for a reason. So
Yeah.
give yourself every chance to achieve said task or
Especially going
reason.
to spend that much money to compete
Yeah,
internationally,
could you imagine?
flights,
It's like,
accommodation.
yeah, I'm gonna go compete at like, the Olympia, so I'm gonna get my hotel room next to Five Guys.
Yeah.
I'm not tempted.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean that's probably something I would do. Let's be real. um, what do we got? What do we got? Strongman versus powerlifting training. Why you feel one is better than the other? Now, to be fair, both styles of training are stupid. um, they're
Fuck them
both
both.
they're both equally as dumb as each other. No, I don't think one is inherently better than the other.
Mhm.
I just don't. It's not the training per se of strongman. It's the drug protocols that I see
Mhm.
or have come across for strongman, which I
Mhm.
find obviously very, very stupid. Um, like you're literally just taking a stack of PEDs to be a semi decent landscaper, and I don't understand why. But
Semi
it is
decent landscaper.
well, semi decent. I mean, they move rocks, they pick shit up that's weird and awkward. So, like, they'd be really good at landscape laboring as well. They'd be great laborers, like 100%. That's probably what they do as their actual job. Most of them probably laborers. Same as powerlifters. I'm not saying that they're any better. So, you know, just saying. Like, I don't discriminate. Like, don't get me wrong. Nah, it's just the drug protocols. In terms of the training paradigms, like, I don't know much about strongman training. Like all I see is that they do, event specific stuff. It's more so watching powerlifters try to implement strongman training into their powerlifting programs to make them stronger at powerlifting. Then I have a problem because
Yeah.
that's just stupid.
Yeah.
Like doing a log fucking press or yeah, doing a log press. I think that's the biggest one that I see powerlifters do in like the strongman exercise for powerlifting to get a bigger bench press. No, it's not how it fucking works, like dickhead. If you're saying that you want to do it because it looks like fun, sure, go for it. If that's what you want to do. If you're saying you want to do it just for a bit of variety, sure, go for it. Have some fun. If you're telling me that you're trying to do a log press because it's going to increase your bench press, then you're an idiot. Pretty straightforward. It's like the opposite, like doing a bench press to get better at the log. Like the log is a very skillful thing. Like you
Yeah.
need to be able to roll that shit up your body and then like
Mhm.
throw it over your head. Looks fucking complex. Looks almost like you'd almost have a better argument for weightlifting and saying,
Yeah.
hey, doing a snatch in weightlifting is probably going to be more applicable. But anyway, we won't
Yep.
get into it. So I don't think any training's better than the other. I think they're all okay if they're done properly and periodized and for the outcome. I just think strongman
It,
is stupid.
it just comes down like it just yeah. Like to me, it comes down to specificity for strongman. Like there is no other application of strongman elsewhere. So just like you're not going to get a benefit of it. Like besides squats and deadlifts, I guess, like when they do like their I don't know, car lifts or they do like a some sort of heavy squat. But like most of the movements are so specific to strongman that you're just going to do them for strongman.
Yeah,
Like
I look.
that
Don't get me
principle
wrong.
matters.
I think the events in strongman are stupid. Like by all means, don't get me wrong. Like there's some fucking weird events, bro. Like I don't get it. Like why do you need to squat fucking tires to prove that you're strong? Like just squat plates. It's the same
Yeah, yeah,
thing. Anyway, like don't get me wrong. Like that's a different conversation. Like that's a whole different conversation. Like why they do a maximum fucking Jefferson fucking deadlift or what is it? And like why? No one cares. But anyway, we won't get into that. How to work out minimum effective sets and volume or volume.
minimum effective.
So how do you work out minimum effective sets of volume for a new client? I guess would be the best way to put it.
Oh yeah, like I feel like I'm starting to try and proceduralize some of this process for myself when we take on other coaches and stuff to make sure we're all operating at the same level. I'll look at their training age. I'll use training age as a guide. What type of like if I've got an absolute newbie, most of the time I'm starting them on a 3 day program for 3 to 4 day program, basically a full body or like a legs push pull or upper lower, and we'll use like a minimum effective volume of what their starting point is, which is usually about 8 to 10 sets per muscle group if we're doing that. Or I'll look at capping at like 16 sets per session and teach them to just train fucking hard on the 3 to 4 days we have. So that usually might even equate to say less than that of like maybe 40 to 50 sets.
Yeah.
But Intermediate athlete, you start getting towards like 8 to 10 sets per muscle group, and then progress from there what you're trying to specify.
Yeah, for me, when I'm looking at clientele, new clientele, and sort of generating their thresholds or minimum thresholds for adaptation, so like they're literally minimum effective sets, it's like I will usually start a block quite low
Yeah.
based on their ability to apply effort. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the kicker. If they can actually train with some effort,
Yeah.
and I'm talking like effort, like we train like, 1 to 2 RIR, if
Yeah.
not to failure,
Yeah.
then they're going to get less sets or less
Mm-hmm.
total overall volume because their effort levels are going to be able to do most of the work. Now, if they're new, if they're injured, if there's, something else going on, if the exercise selection doesn't allow me to pick exercises where they can take that to true failure or close to, i.e., free weights like barbell dumbbell work, which, we want to have an element of safety.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would probably look at a bit more volume to cover
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they can't put as much effort in because they risk injury. So
Mm-hmm.
time and place, but yeah, I always look at that. I would probably start someone on sort of 8-ish sets per
Mm-hmm.
body part per week. And then when we say 8 sets per body part, it's like breaking up the body parts. It's literally like, pecs, lats,
Yeah.
like mid back, and then you've got like glutes, hamstrings, quads, calves, bicep,
Mm-hmm.
tricep, delts. So it's kind of like, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's like 8 to 10 body parts, like
Yeah.
give or take, depending on how you break it up. And then you have, 8 to 10 sets. So you're looking at you literally anywhere between 80 and maybe 100 sets a week
Mm-hmm.
anyway total. So that falls in that threshold that, everyone sort of talks about 80 to 120 sets and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Now I've got clients, I think even you're on like 60 something sets, like you're on
Mm-hmm.
next to nothing, but we're still progressing. Now we obviously have pharmacology in play, but we also have someone that can train pretty much to failure day in, day out because
Mm-hmm.
that's how we train. So it's like, I don't need to give you that. But if you turn around and you're like, I don't like training to failure, or like I look at your videos and like you're stopping shy 5 reps of failure and you're like, yeah, I'm done. I'll be like, okay, well, I'm giving you 4 sets of 15. So here we
Yeah.
go.
And all of those are going to be to failure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like your perception of what's hard and what
Yeah.
is actually hard according to the
Yeah.
speed of the movement
Yeah.
is where that comes in. So
I think
that's
that then like just brings in the whole debate of like intensity versus volume, which is a whole fucking podcast. But I think people misconstrue this idea that just simply jacking up more volume equates to more progression. And I think that's where shit goes wrong. Not wrong, but why would you want to beat yourself up more from extra volume? Like if we think about just putting that in percentages and numbers, if you've got 10 sets on chest press, or sorry, on chest, that's your 100% quota. If I had 2 more sets, that's 120% of your workload. That's another 20% of volume. If I had 5 sets, that's 200%, 150%, sorry. Now, if you think that there isn't going to be a fatigue element to adding an extra 150% to your training volume, you're fucking kidding yourself. When the reality is you could just learn to train a bit harder and not require that much else. Because then you might like work that out then with your rep count. Well, if it's an extra 2 to 3 sets and those sets contain 8 to 12 reps, and each one of those reps is at like, I don't know, a 40 kilo dumbbell press, that's a fuckload of extra repetition instead of just learning to take your training to an extra bit of failure. Because you now have to work an extra 2 sets per session before you get close proximity to that failure and fatigue because you don't know how to push harder. Learn to
exactly right.
train harder inside that set scheme, and you don't need to have extra volume. Like most of my guys, especially like I guess my more advanced athletes, like if someone like Rowan, for instance, we've had to push his lateral delt work a bit more because he connects really well, and we spend a lot of time pulling back and finding that balance between, I guess, if you move the dial between intensity and control, or I guess, mechanical tension, trying to find that sweet spot where he's got both and really maintain the feel the entire way. And then going, okay, of this 4 sets, or sorry, like, 8 to 10 sets on lateral shoulders isn't quite enough. We need more shoulder work. Okay, we're getting closer to 15, 16 sets. That's starting to jack him up now. Okay, we found a good responsive volume set. That to me then is like, okay, we found where your actual response limit is. And then from there, we might go, okay, where's the MRV from there? How do I get him to, does he need to go to 17, 18? Now he's started to struggle to recover and he's feeling pretty fucking banged up. Okay, next meso, we know roughly that that's where his working range is.
Yeah.
We've got that MEV and we've got that MRV now established. He takes 16 to 18 good sets to really respond from lateral head training.
Yeah.
Before that, or if I had have gone straight there, it might have fucked him up. Before that, he probably wasn't getting enough stimulus. but I know that he trains well and connects well. But some people might just jump straight to that volume first without connecting the movement.
Yeah.
He has that good knowledge of both connecting the feel, feeling mechanical tension, maintaining mechanical tension, but also training in a decent rep range where form is kept. Sorry, a decent load where form is kept and tension is kept, but intensity is high. So we know that if he goes a bit too heavy than that, he loses form. If he goes too light from that, it's a fucking waste of time.
Yeah.
Find that good middle ground. So now I know that progression metric is we're actually increasing sets here because we need to.
Yeah, exactly. That is all that I have.
That's all I got.
Beautiful. I mean, we should wrap this one up. It's been talking shit for an hour. It's been good to be back with normal internet, which is always nice. The sun's still out in Melbourne. It didn't rain.
That was Thailand, Bali, Thailand, Bali.
Bali was good. It was warm. Actually had great weather. Got very fortunate. Got around to golfing with the old man, which was fun.
I didn't see that.
I took 14 golf balls for him to play with. Now, don't get me wrong. He's very new. He's played like twice. He lost 14 golf balls. It was great.
Nice.
He did well. Proud.
It's a good strike rate.
It's fucking great strike
rate. Not a good accurate rate. Good strike rate.
No, absolutely horrendous. And I got back to all these deliveries from Mulligan. So shout out to Mulligan. Not that they listen to this, but my semi sort of sponsor, but not really sponsored for a sport that I am not good at. This is great. Bro, I got like fucking 4 t-shirts, two polos, 2 t-shirts, and a hoodie. I'm living the dream.
Nice.
Hard. I don't need to buy
your winter apparel sorted.
Bad. I just need pants, but I've already bought some from Kmart because that's how we roll.
Nice.
Yeah. But
anyway. Last time I was in Bali. Bali. Thailand or Bali? It was Bali. It fucking pissed down. Literally,
it literally rained the last night that I was there. The whole time. It was great. It was fucking perfect, sunny. Can't complain, man. I was like, this is pretty good. And I still can't get over how cheap everything is, dude. It's like I didn't really appreciate it. Last time I went to Bali was like obviously pre-COVID.
Should have got you to snag me a fuckload of jerseys. I didn't even think about that. God damn it.
Who cares? They're all fake.
No, that's the point. They're cheap. I just want cheap jerseys to train in.
And I was just like, I remember getting a coffee there was like there's only select shops that did good coffee. Like now they have like every fucking corner shop does really good coffee. And it's $2 for a double espresso. I was like, this shit's the bomb. So I had like 5 coffees a day. So it was great. It was good
bucks in Australia.
Good coffee. Yeah, 100%. Like for $2, I'm like, dude, I'm going to abuse this shit. This is great. But anyway.
Pick up.
Yes.
Yeah,
anyway.
That's it for me.
Thank you guys and girls as always for tuning in. We will chat to you next week. Any questions, concerns, throw them in the question box that we throw up. We should be back on Wednesdays from next. Actually, I take that back. It'll be Thursday next week. No, I don't even know. Wednesday or Thursday. I go away again. Don't ask questions. Anyway, we'll work it out and we'll let you know. Thank you for tuning in, guys. See ya.